G'day boot campers, I hope you guys are doing brilliantly today. Welcome to our first online boot camp session. A nice little, well, I guess it's simple in its approach, but can be quite sinister depending on how you kind of tackle it. You know, you can kind of really open up the throttle if you want to, or you can just dial it back. Naturally, with these kinds of sessions, just take it as your fitness level allows. Of course, what you'll need for today's session is a nice sturdy chair, one that you can do step-ups on, that's not going to wobble around too much, and of course, grab one of your weighted bags for this particular session as well, one that you've been using during the week. Remember to double bag if you're using additional weight, just so that bag doesn't split open. Anyway, we're going to get right into things. So coming up first, of course, is our mobility set. Alrighty guys, let's get into it. We'll start out with some walking knee lifts first. So draw those knees up into the chest, keeping that nice tall posture so we're not hunching over and we're not leaning back as we do our knee lifts. Marching on the spot, staying tall. We're going to do 10 total, 5 per side. It's going to take us into some hip circles next. Right out and around, leaning into the front. Try to keep your legs as straight as you can on your hip circles. Really trying to create a nice wide circle for 5, then back the other way for 5. Once again, pushing out, right out into those corners as far as you can go. Right out and around. From there, once we've done our 5 and 5, grab the shin, doing our shin lifts next. Drawing the shin up, basically to the opposite shoulder. So right foot up, or I should say left foot up to right shoulder, right foot up to left shoulder in that direction. Once again, staying up as tall as you can. For a set of 10, 5 per side. Then shooting the arms out to the sides. Opposite twists next. Winding and unwinding that shoulder, really trying to turn and twist as far as you can in opposite directions. All the way one way, all the way the other. Next up, we're going to work some leg swings. So if you need to hold on to something, grab a hold of a wall or maybe use a chair. But with our leg swings, swinging our leg forwards and backwards through a nice full and complete arc. Working for a set of 10. Try to stabilize the upper body as much as possible so we're not swinging around and moving all over the place. Once you do 10 on one side, once again moving over to the other side. If you start to lose your balance, just re-step or re-center and then get a nice big swing happening. 10 forwards and backwards, then we're going to go sideways. So sideways on, swinging the leg right across the body. We're working for a set of 10, once again staying as tall as you can. Don't twist and turn, staying nice and steady. Once again, once you do 10 on one side, flipping over to the other side. Work and set of 10. Once we get our 10 out, we're going to work some lunge reaches next. So stepping back, reaching out to the sky, trying to keep that front shin as vertical as you can. Actively press out. So as you step, you don't just want to lift the arm up, you want to actively reach and press outwards. So we're nice, strong, straight arm at the top, reaching out into a nice, deep lunge for 10 steps. Then we're going to migrate down to the floor into the top of the push-up position. So getting into a nice strong plank, we push back into the heel on one side, then the other. You want to pause for a good second on each side so you can feel that stretch. The other thing you want to do is push back through the palms and lift the hips. So it's almost like you're doing a downward dog except on one side. Lift and drive through, lift and drive through. Nice and steady. Once you do a set of 10, 5 per side, we're going to step it through. So bring left foot up to left hand, change it out, right foot to right hand. Try to step the foot through as far as you can. Once you get it out there, hold for a sec, then swap, alternating and stepping as you go, keeping that back leg as straight as you can. Soon as you hit that last rep or that 10th rep, draw the knee through, holding steady as we bring left knee to left elbow, right knee to right elbow, bracing and holding tight. Set at 20 for this one, 10 per side, holding strong before we roll onto our back, tucking the heels in. With this one, bring the legs closer together, palms facing upwards, driving one foot in, driving the knee towards the chest. Remember, you're not just leaving the bum on the ground and drawing the knee in, you're pushing the ground away, lifting the hips, going for a set of 20 total, 10 per side. From there, once we finish our 20 reps, roll the chest forwards and we're reaching through. Minimize how much we reach and turn. Roll forwards, hold that position, but use that hollow or that crunch to reach towards the ankles. Reach through, see how far down the foot you can reach without turning or laterally turning that body to get there. Hold tight, reach. Set at 20. Will then take us into a nice deep squat. Make sure those heels are on the ground. We're going to lift the hips. Squat back down again. Lift the hips. Keep those hands on the floor. Squatting down, lifting that chest. Nice and steady as we go. Bracing and holding tight. This is going to lead us into our little body weight combo. So once I finish 10 here, stand on up and grab your timer. Basically, we're going to use that timer and set it for 30 seconds at a time. Because our body weight combo, we're going to do 3 exercises for 30 seconds at a time. Of course, our first exercise, we want to set up basically back in that deep squat position. And from there, we're walking it out. We're walking it out as far as we can maintain a nice strong hip position. Then walk it back, setting the bottom of that squat, throw the arms back, and we're jumping in the air. Walk it back out again. Once again, take it as far as you can. If you can get into your fingertips, awesome. Otherwise, just take it as far as you can manage. Set that squat, jump in the air, working for 30 seconds with our walk out to squat jumps. Next up, we're going to work a lateral lunge. So standing up nice and tall, we're going to step out to the side, nice straight leg, keeping that chest up as we go. So straight leg as we step out whilst keeping a nice tall body posture. You can use those arms for balance. Working for 30 seconds, working from one side to the other. Then last of all, we're going to work a bear crawl. So setting yourselves up now, depending on how much space, will determine how far you go forwards and backwards. But let's say this is my living room and I'm just working in a small square. Basically, I'm just going to set myself up on the floor like we're doing our bird dogs. We want to elevate the knees so they're only about an inch from the floor. From here we go left hand, right foot, right hand, left foot. Moving forwards, keeping that nice low hip position. Just walking forwards as far as you can manage and then backwards again. So we want to work forwards and backwards. Working those opposites, keeping the knees close to the floor, working for 30 seconds. So of course, with this particular bodyweight combo, you want 3 rounds, 30 seconds apiece, working those walk out to squat jumps, your lateral lunges, and your bear crawls. Get those done, and then we'll move into our first working set. Next up, folks, is a strength ladder. So grab your timer and set it for 8 minutes. We're going to be doing 2 exercises for that 8 minutes, and we're doing 4 reps that's going to go up by 1 of each one of those exercises as we go. So the first round will be 4, the second one will be 5, 6, 7, and so on as we go. In that 8-minute period, we want to see how many reps that you guys can get to. Exercises wise, we've got a squat press and a bag drag, both of which are going to utilise our weighted bag that we've been using all week thus far. Remember, if you're using that extra weight, make sure it's double bagged so it doesn't fall apart, and also make sure it's tied so as you're working with it, the weight doesn't spill out as you go. So setting ourselves up for our first exercise, we want our squat press. So we grab our bag, we want to bring it in nice and close to the chest here, and we want to stay as upright as possible. Like our normal squat work, we want to stay as upright as possible, feet or heels flat on the ground as we go, chest up, arms pulled against the body, we squat down, we stand up tall and we press that bag out. Once again, staying as upright as we can. We want those 4 reps to begin with. Pressing out. Then we lower that bag down to the ground and we set up for our bag drags. With this one, we want to set up in the high plank position. So basically the bag will be just over to one side. Go with a nice wide base or wide foot position. That just gives you a nice stable position to work with. Then we reach across the body, pulling the bag through and to the other side. Now this one is 4 per side, making it 8 total as we go. Remember, you want to pull through, holding the body tight, minimizing how much the body and those hips twist as we pull that bag through. 4 per side. The next round will be 5 per side, 6 per side, and so on as we go. So, working for that 8 minutes, we want to see what rep count can you get to with those squat presses and those bag drags. Our big money set for today is an FGB set. This one, basically you've got 5 exercises that you're working for 1 minute at a time on each one of those exercises. Once you get to that 5th exercise, you've got a rest minute before you repeat. So basically you do 1 minute of the first exercise, the second, third, 4th and 5th, followed by a rest minute. That would be 1 round. So you guys are going to be doing 3 rounds of our FGB today, which ends up being roughly around an 18-minute set. That's also including those little rest periods in there as well. Just the one thing I'll say is this can be basically turned up. You can turn the heat up right up on this one as you go. Just scale it. Ideally, you want to get through this set without absolutely destroying yourself. So just scale it as you need. But if you want a real challenge with this, you can get yourself a bit of paper out. So then at the end of each round, when the minute goes, you can basically mark down the reps of each exercise that you've done. Your goal is to try to match or one-up those reps on each round that you do. So that just gives you a little bit of extra incentive. Otherwise, just stick to working for that time period. Remember, you've only got 1 minute of rest before you repeat each time. So, to get things going, our 5 exercises. You've got your chair step-ups, you've got push-ups, you've got some bag deadlifts, you've got some dead bugs, and you've got some burpees to do in this particular set. So you will need 2 of your weighted bags and a chair for this particular workout. And of course a timer, so then you know when the minute goes and what you're doing for the next exercise and so forth. Anyway guys, to kick things off, we've got chair step-ups to start with. Guys, what you're going to do is make sure your chair is nice and sturdy. We're going to place 1 foot on and you'll always have 1 foot on that chair. From here we drive nice and tall, alternating and keeping a foot on, then change it at the top. Staying up nice and tall, minimize how much you're bouncing off that back leg. I want you to control it, flat foot, so then we're really making that front or that leg that's still in the chair working. So nice and tall posture as we go. If you really want to add some extra load to that to up the difficulty, grab one of the bags and hold on to those as you go. So 1 minute of our chair step-ups. Next up, you have some push-ups. So setting yourself up on the ground, nice, tall body posture, making sure those hands are in line with the shoulders, just outside the shoulders. And from there, nice and tall, leading with the chest. We want to make sure that the hips don't touch the ground. Chest touches the ground each time, keeping that chin up. You're working for 1 minute. So just pace yourself because a minute of push-ups can be quite tough. For those that do struggle, drop to those knees, keeping the hips on. So we've got this straight line from the knees through the hips to the shoulders as we go. Cool, I don't want to see our hips poking out or our bum sticking out as we do our push-ups. The other thing is I don't want those arms out the side. Those upper arms should brush the body on our push-ups as we work for a minute. Next up, drag or bring those bags in. We're setting up for some deadlifts. So chest up, we reach down, grab a scruff of bag, lock in those shoulders. We stand up nice and tall, touching the ground, standing up tall. Touching the ground as we go. Just remember, shoulders back, chest up. so that we're not rounding our posture as we stick our bum out and we stand up tall, working for a minute. Then we'll place those bags over to the side so they're out of the way. Next up, we have our dead bugs. So give yourself a little bit of space once again. Lying on the floor, pushing the small of the back in, we roll ourselves into a ball. Left leg, left arm, right leg, right arm. Continuing to try to basically round the chest towards the hips as we go. Keeping the upper shoulders and back up off the ground. Pointing the toes as we go. Working for a solid minute there. Last of all, everybody's favorite, the good old burpee. With this one, guys, we want to move our way down to the ground, lower our chest down so the chest touches. We then jump it through, jumping in the air, making sure we achieve full hip extension with the hands above the ears. So once again, chest to ground, popping up, jump, hands above the ears with that full hip extension. So we're not doing our burpees where we're going. That's done, that's not a burpee. Cool? So once again, nice and steady, chest to ground, jump, land soft, but make sure we achieve that full hip extension as we go. So there are our 5 exercises, folks, working 1 minute at a time on each one of those. Once we get to that 6th minute, rest for the minute. Grab a quick drink of water, tally up the scores as you go. You can do that as you go. I can't remember, so I have a sheet of paper on the side to, so I've got basically a benchmark of those exercises. Then the next round that you do, try to one-up or match as you go. Then the last round, open up the throttle and really see how many of those reps that you can punch out in each one of those minutes, and then tally it up. And of course, let us know how you go. Let us know the rep ranges that you do get to in that final round of those 5 exercises. Good luck with that one, folks. To finish things up, folks, we'll have a little stretch as a cool down. So grab onto some, you use the back of the chair, or you can use a wall or something. Basically, just don't fall over as you go. We want to grab your foot with the same side arm. So if I'm using my left leg, then I want to grab my left hand. Pull the heel into the butt, stay nice and tall. Basically stretching out those quads and those hip flexors. Try to keep that chest down so we're not just arching the back as we stretch. Working for 30 seconds on one side before we flip over to the other side. Nice deep breathing as we go, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Once again, tall as possible, squeeze the butt, push the hips into the stretch. 30 seconds per side. From there, you want to put or place the ball of the foot on the wall, or this works well in a door frame, or if you've got an upright or something at home that you can use. Try to get your heel in nice and close to the wall, and then from there, we push the body forwards. This is why a door frame works really well, because you can kind of lean into the door frame, holding on nice and tight. Keep that front leg as straight as you can. Basically trying to hinge the body forwards, keeping the heel on the ground. 30 seconds on that one side, stretching out the calves, then changing it out, trying to get that heel in nice and close. Folding the body forwards. Once again, working for 30 seconds on those calves. If you are working in a door frame, or find yourself a wall, we want to place basically our arms so that the elbow is level with the shoulder, and then we turn away from that arm. Leaning in slightly, we turn away, stretching out the chest, stretching out those pecs, working for 30 seconds on one side before we flip over onto that other side. Just remember to try to get that elbow level with the shoulder as we go. Next, we're going to take a seat on the floor, folks. Kicking those legs out nice and wide. We want to stay up tall, then reaching over to the side. Grab the leg, pull the body forwards. If you can, try to pull the toes back. Lean into that stretch and breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good 30 seconds, up to a minute with these ones. These ones are good for stretching out the insides of the thighs and also those hammies, and also you can get a bit of calf in there too. Then moving over to the other side, grabbing that leg, pulling the body in. Pull those toes back if you can. Once again, 30 seconds to a minute is good for this one. Nice and steady, big breathing as we go. Then last of all, folks, kicking back on the ground. We want to bring the foot up onto the thigh of the other leg, grabbing behind the knee, lie back and pull that foot and knee towards the chest in that position. That other arm you can push into the inside of the knee, basically to wedge that leg away, and that'll just give you a bit more stretch in this particular position. Once we get about 30 seconds out, flipping over to the other side, grabbing behind the knee, we draw that foot once again in, and we can push into that knee with the other leg. Pulling with this one, pushing with the elbow, keeping the head and the shoulders on the ground. Nice and relaxed as we stretch out for 30 seconds. And of course, making your way up to your feet. Well done, guys. Thanks a bunch for tuning in. Of course, this is a work in progress, as we've mentioned. Please feel free to give us some comments, give us some feedback, some things that you might want to see in your workouts and so forth. But really, we're creating a nice rounded program of a whole bunch of elements to really keep you guys fit and healthy through these uncertain times. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys are all doing awesome, and I'll see you next time.